3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Real Estate Show. Jason Mancuso and Luis Pichardo of the Anthony Butera team here at Keller Williams Realty. How we doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good. So
Getting ready for the NFL season.
Yeah, well, on topic. I mean, Labor Day weekend coming up. Kids back to school. Still got September 20-something for end of the summer season officially, but summer's over.
Yeah, man.
Football's here. Fall's in the air. So fall real estate market preview coming at you right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think the last episode we did was like the halftime show of 2023, just kind of, talking about the market up to the summer and, kind of a tale of all things similar for what it's been the last 2 years anyway now, and just this seller's market that we've been in for 5-6 years now. Still the same case.
Yeah.
Right now where we're sitting, currently this week, end of August, going into September here soon. Interest rates have spiked a little bit. We're well into the 7s right now. It was kind of, nice and a little more comfortable in the 6s, throughout this year for the most part. But a little bit of a spike right now. I'm not here to offer predictions in terms of we're not going to hit 8, and then before you know it, who knows, before this is even released, it's at 8.
It's at 8.
And I'm the jerk. But, we've got this aspect of interest rates that have spiked a little bit going on. What's your take? What are you seeing? What conversations are you having around that aspect of interest rates right now?
Yeah, so obviously it's on the news cycle.
Yeah.
And the reason that we chose this topic is because if a consumer were to go on Google right now and just look at the news articles about the real estate market, I just did that before this podcast began, and it would scare the bejesus out of them, right? So this is why we're having this discussion. So in regards to what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm having conversations around with the people I'm connected to and have been in contact with, is that right now, for the buyers, right, for my people looking to buy or my clients looking to buy, I'm seeing an opportunity for them right now where in the summer we were going up against 11, 15, 20 offers on those really nice properties that were priced well in good neighborhoods. We're starting to see right now that that's more like 2, 3, 4 offers, and in some cases, no offers. Yeah. So there's even, negotiation possibilities on certain things that are out on the market right now.
Yeah.
So we encourage, if you're looking to buy, if you are considering buying, maybe you're thinking about it early next year, to at least just have a conversation with us now, so that you can know kind of what's going on and what would be a good opportunity for you in this fall market coming up.
Well, let me ask you this, because you mentioned it, the news cycle. We talked about higher interest rates.
Yeah.
Do you have any pulse that tells you things are halting? Your buyers are bailing?
Absolutely not. No.
What do you attribute that to? It's kind of wild, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that the home prices are the highest they've ever been.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Interest rates are not the highest they've ever been, but the highest in the last decade or so. Yeah. And there's still the demand out there. You read the news headlines of consumer sentiment down, home buyer sentiment, confidence, whatever you want to call it, down. Yeah. But you tell me, we don't feel it that way. The way you would think, anyway. The news headlines.
Yeah.
Would allude to.
Yep. And I think, I think there's a lot at play, but first of all, I think Rochester is a great city to live in.
Yeah.
So we have that working for us. And we spoke about it not too long ago. Wages have gone up.
Sure.
So with wages going up, and that's something that's good, right? And I feel like our economy is doing well. And I believe that it will continue to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer confidence on our end, we're seeing that people, they're excited about buying a home. They're excited about moving up. They're excited about, you know, obtaining a bigger house for their family, or going, I just had a conversation with someone that works from home. After COVID happened, they started working from home, and they want to have a place where when they're working at home that they can look out into the window and see something beautiful. So they're considering waterfront properties because of that. So those conditions, they're kind of newer to us on our side. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, that wouldn't have happened if we would have not gone through what we went through 3 years ago, right? Where now people are like, well, I'm in this house. I'm a lot more than what I was expecting to, and I bought this house 5, 6, 7 years ago. There's this new condition that I need to create an office space. I would like to have a bigger, better office space. Because I'm spending so much time in my property that the use of the property has changed.
It's a real dynamic in play. Like, I don't know if there's a statistic around that or a measurable type of thing, but this is real. And we're just in little old Rochester, New York, right? I mean, just this, the unintended consequence, a result of COVID. And how important a home is, whether it's because of work from home dynamics, or it's a feel, but it's a real feel of like people want their home to be home, like feel like they love it and they enjoy it. And then, like, I've said this before, but you take it a step further where, like, these houses these days, you can do so much to them, and they're so nice, and like, you can, whatever. I think at a meeting recently, I heard of somebody, they're installing a pickleball court in their house, right? People can do whatever they want, within reason, and not have to, worry about the pickleball membership down the road or whatever, right? Like, people are doing more of that, I feel like, than ever, as a generational type of thing. I've mentioned it to where, like, you think about our grandparents' generation and just happy to have a roof over their head. And yeah, no problem. We'll figure it out. We'll raise our family of 8 in this 3-bedroom, 1,100 square foot Cape Cod, where the ceilings are coming in on us in the upstairs, but everybody's crammed in. That was that generation. Like, our parents' generation kind of got into the traditional, 4-square colonial type of deal, a little more space. Now our generation is like, we want our house to be sufficient, but also, like, we're going to do all this cool stuff to it too. And that, it adds up to where home prices sky high, interest rates sky high, but yet the demand is still there. Again, I don't know how you measure that statistically, but that's the feel, right? Like, people are going to do what they want, and the budget for housing is more important than ever, it feels like. And I guess I just got to accept a 7% interest rate.
And I mean, I'm just thinking of the clients who I've helped buy, sell within the past year or so, and also kind of what's going on. I mean, we're in an information age. I mean, we have information on our fingertips. We have more people being creative with how they make a living. We have a lot of people that are now making a living at home, and not necessarily that, that transpired within a situation with COVID, but there's business owners who run businesses out of their homes. I walked through a property the other day, and they had a flooring and like hardware business, like the door hardware and all that, and they had half the basement like all stocked with shelves. And then they had the little office set up there, and like they just had something like just arranged where they run their business out of their basement. I'm thinking of another client who's building a house. And she wanted the 13-course basement because she's going to run those shelves. She's going to stock full her basement with her products that she sells online. There's also, a lot of people, on the video space, YouTube space that make money, and they could do it while they're at home. So that changes. It's interesting that you bring that up, right? The generations, right?
Yeah.
Like our generation right now, this generation here, we're not looking at a property just like, oh, this is where we're going to sleep, right? We're looking at a property. Where's
Yep.
how can we use it, to make a living? How can we use it to have fun? How can, is it functional where we're close to family, where we're close to all the amenities?
Yeah, we're not the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday
It's-
generation
exactly.
anymore, right? It's evolved. I haven't really thought of it that way, but that's a great point because, don't get me wrong, plenty of, it's not like 80% of the people out there don't work a 9 to 5,
Right,
but
right.
it's just, that was just the only option, so to speak. For a lot of
Exactly.
people and generations leading up to this.
Exactly.
Technological revolution, whatever you want to call it, has created a lot more flexibility, even for the people in the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But then, all these other industries that have been created in the last decade that people are profiting off of. Good. It's kind of because again, I think like the overall conversation is why we're talking about this is the answer that we just gave to the question of like, man, it's really a head scratcher as to why the hell the real estate market is doing what it's doing when you talk about record high home prices, high interest rates, and no end in sight to either of those things, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, interest rates should fluctuate downward in the next couple of years type of period, but the predictions that were made that like 2024 would be, a year ago, they'd be looking at, he's saying that the rates would be in the 5s, maybe even the 4s by the end of the year. Like they're coming off that in terms of that happening.
Yeah.
So now it's just kind of accepting like, what are more historical averages.
Yep.
We're still, when you look at the charts, we just looked at them as a team in a meeting that like, I think it was 1970 till now, historical average for that period, and that takes into account the obnoxious, years in the 80s when it was, double digits, but, it's above what it is now.
Absolutely.
And in 1990 to now, it was 6%.
Yep.
So, like, what happened in the last decade has also created a, kind of spoiled type of sentiment for a lot of people that know nothing different. It's tough to relate to somebody, and tell them like, well, our parents bought a house at 18% interest. It's like, well, yeah, that was 40 years ago at this point.
I'm going to make a very a big general statement, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but this is just how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel that under 300,000 in a suburb, if you're in a suburb in Rochester, under 300,000, interest rates can jump up to 10, 11, 12%. I feel that we're going to be in the same environment.
I don't disagree.
In that if you're looking in the suburbs under 300,000, I feel like, it's just that market right there. It's just red
let's
hot.
unpack that a little bit because, our market, suburban markets, it's not necessarily subjective. Like you do the research, like highly desirable, rated school districts, like just, close to everything, no commute time. Like, these houses are, 300,000 in a suburb is going to be a nice house.
Yeah.
Where are you going in the world?
Yeah.
Like you pick up that house
Yeah.
in Greece that's $300,000 and move it to, whatever, North Jersey, right? And a similar type of dynamic.
Yeah.
That's $1 million house for sure.
Yeah.
800,000 maybe, whatever. And other, duplicate that even less prominent examples. That's falls in line with the average price points in the country of about 400,000. It's dipped a little bit under 400 at this point, but like speaking to the affordability driving the demand of our market, right?
And I mean, our consumer, and like we started off the show, it's, if they go on Google, right, they may be they may be worried about what they see maybe on articles, where it's like, oh, is this a scary thing for me to be thinking about purchasing a property? And this is the importance of, that's why it's important to speak with a professional, especially a local professional that understands what's happening here in the local market. Because one of the things, and I can appreciate someone being concerned about the interest rate, right?
Sure,
I can,
of course.
That tells me that that person is thinking about this and really considering, the financial side of things, which, I would do the same thing. When I would go shopping for a vehicle, I would, I would think about the same exact things.
Prefer to work with that type of buyer than, somebody
I
just
don't care. Yeah,
gung-ho
exactly.
and winging it. Like, I'd rather, because then it's our job to, like, get them to slow down and, like, let's
100%.
look at the financials. I know you
Yeah.
love this house, but are you financially comfortable with it?
100%. And one of the things that we spoke about in our team meeting was, in a 10-year period, the history of, the U.S., in a 10-year period, there has not been a loss. And I mean, I would be interested to see that in the Rochester market, how that looks.
Yeah,
where,
I know.
where even in 2008, like between 2008 and 2012, what happened nationally really did not happen
Because
here.
that 10-year, that example you just gave, like, 2007 or 6 at the peak would be that benchmark to look at. And then nationally it did dip and then it climbed back up to where still holding that example true in 2016. It was like just barely over or break even.
Right.
But you ride that out, meaning if you bought 2006 and then the market crashed, like that was a market crash.
Yeah.
Still recovered nationally. Rochester, I mean, we didn't really feel that pain locally. So I would imagine our chart is just straight up the whole, like hockey stick analogy in the last 5 years, certainly.
Right.
Up until then, like historically, Rochester's just always like kind of climbing with the inflation rate, if anything, like just general appreciation trend lines.
Yeah. So what does that mean to our consumer? What it means is, and this is what I've had the conversation with my clients about is, okay, if you're telling me you're buying this house to next year sell it, or you're banking on some type of, you're going to make some maybe cosmetic improvements and make money off of this deal, then I would say, okay, let's really consider that. And that's still an opportunity. If you want to flip that, there's opportunities where you could value add and do that. That can happen. But I would say you need a professional to advise you on that. And I would say, yes, we need to tread carefully with that idea.
Yeah.
But if you're a consumer and you're telling me this is a long-term play, or this is my first house, or I just want to get it, this is my first place we're buying, still a good market, or this is we're looking to move up, our family outgrew the home, it's a good market. You're making those moves; those are long-term play moves. So if you're in that realm, in my professional opinion, you're okay. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and it's not to say just do whatever you want, make, loosey-goosey decisions.
Right.
But you're protected by time,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, I've said it all the time. Like, you tell me you want to buy a house and it's only going to be a 1 year, 2 year type of term that you're planning on. It gets tough because especially when you're buying with a mortgage or a low down payment mortgage at that, you don't pay anything towards the principal at the start.
Yeah.
You turn around and go to sell, you've got closing expenses.
And listen to this. We have had clients within the past year or two where they haven't been in the property for 12 months, and then they called us and say, "Hey, we want to," and we've sold it for. So we could even be wrong on that end.
Well, and it's always like I'd rather we always want to give conservative,
Absolutely,
prudent advice
yeah.
versus like no, you'll be fine, don't worry
Yeah.
about it. But it's just been funny in those examples where it's like. Most other markets, somebody calls you a year later, I got to sell. It's like, oh boy, it's going to be tough. But it's like, well, here's your check.
Absolutely.
Here's your profit. It's crazy. All right, so let's talk about the fall. Typically, we get our seasonal, market starts after summer.
Yeah.
Like, spring is always the most popular, number one ranked, followed by summer. In my opinion, I put winter number 3,
Yeah.
and then the fall number 4.
Yeah.
I think there's dynamics in play where summer ends, kids are going back to school, families got to get into that mode. It's a lot. The sports start back up. I mean, sports these days is year round, so I think that's because it might be less of a consumer type of thing. But and then you get in that groove, and it's like, I'm gonna take a break, and then before you know it, holiday season rolls around. Like September and October always fly by, right? I'm messed up, and I think football plays into it, where it's like, I'm going to watch the Bills instead of go to an open house on Sunday, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the holidays plays into things in terms of playing into seasonality, and like, I'm going to wait till after the holidays. I got too much going on. I don't want to deal with that type of stuff. And then the other end of the cycle, like first work day after New Year's Day, like the activity picks up. Like the phone is ringing more. It's almost like a New Year's resolution type of thing with people going to the gym first week and coming out of the gate strong. Like people want to start making their plans for the year right away. So talk to me about how that translates. Like what the fall market translates to in terms of opportunity, in terms of what sellers are looking at, what buyers are looking at. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think if you're a seller, probably that first week of school, probably not the ideal time to list unless there's an emergency or something like that. But
depending on the property.
Depending on the property.
Right?
I was just going to say the investment side of things,
or like a 2-bedroom.
Exactly.
Or even a ranch.
Right.
May not be the one that families are targeting to move into. So
yeah, it's in a case-by-case basis. That was a general statement, but you're going to want to consider that in regards to activity. On the buyer side, we are encouraging our buyers to get out there right now, because especially the buyers who struggled in the summer, where they were competing against 10, 15 offers, right? There's still competition out there, but it's more with 3 to 5 offers and in a normal situation.
Yeah.
There are still those properties that are, HGTV quality decoration, staging, paint colors. I mean, it's just, that situation is still going to be highly competitive. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but other than that, we're encouraging our buyers to get out there, because you could land a pretty good deal right now.
I mean, I think, to clarify, we're still in a seller's market, and they're going to be in a seller's market.
Yeah.
So if you do need to sell.
And why is that? Because of our inventory, right?
Yeah, there's just more demand than there is supply.
Correct.
Like simple, supply-demand economics, and it favors the seller right now. There's this inventory is so tight, and there's no cure to that coming in sight anyway.
Right.
And the demand, although, reduced with seasonality or reduced with higher interest rates, it's still there. Yeah. We've proven this in the last 18 months. We've lived through last fall, where rates were high then, and coming off the previous fall at historic low. So, we know how this plays out, short of anything major happening globally, economically, whatever. We can take this to the bank, that the market isn't going to drastically shift to where buyers have the upper hand and a seller struggles to sell if they're priced right, if the home is in decent condition. It's just, so sellers still do you.
Yeah.
It's going to work out. And buyers, the advantage that you have is you can, defeat the status quo, so to speak. Meaning, most people out there are going to fall victim to status quo type of action. And, everything I rattled off about why the fall market is seasonal, they act on, right?
Yeah.
So if you remain engaged and if you remain active in the market, it's just, you got to look at it as your percentage odds of winning the offer. have been increasing all
Yes.
along this year, throughout the spring into the summer type of thing. And it's just going to continue.
Yeah. And to be transparent, it is typical for us to see clients who are, really in the market. They struggle in the summer to land something because of the competition, and come fall time, we end up finding a good opportunity.
Right, but that status quo that I mentioned is part of it too. I don't think I mentioned this before in terms of like a lot of the fallout of the demand in the fall market is like, we've been looking all spring and summer. It's been 6 months.
so
I'm
true.
sick of it.
That is so
Like
true.
I just need a break.
Yes.
And like again, for me, guy mentality. I just need to watch football. I'm not going out looking at houses anymore. Right?
And this is why we're making this podcast, because we need you to come back out and look, because this could be the time.
It's
even though you're feeling like this is never going to happen.
It's to your advantage as the buyer. And again, as a seller, you're still going to be in a good spot. Like the national rhetoric has revised the 2024 outlook to where 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever, they would have been predicting a decrease in home values.
Yeah.
They just revised that to where it's going to increase.
Did they really?
Slightly. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I mean, it went from a negative to like 1% gain, whatever. As a prediction, these predictions like
Right.
grain of salt type of thing. But like it's just those that are waiting for the market to crash, waiting for the bubble to pop.
And for a seller,
Be waiting.
For a seller,
You will be
I've been running different specs with different builders with a client, and another client, they wanted something that was readily available now. There's nothing available in your construction like ready right now.
Right.
So even though we just stated like, first week of September or something like that, probably not the ideal time to come on the market, you can still have great traffic if you have if your home is in good condition, we price it and market it properly, you're still going to have really good activity, because there's not only an inventory issue, but if you're, as far as square footage and, bedrooms, bathrooms in a good neighborhood match up with what like new construction is around, like, 15, 16, 17, 1800, 1900, 2000 square foot. Like if you're in that ballpark, there's just our inventory level is so low that you are still going to be okay.
The demand outweighs the supply. It's still going to be the same, even if it is that first week of September.
Yeah.
That dynamic is like you got Labor Day on Monday.
Yeah.
You got school starting either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just an adjustment. Yes. You got opening week football again. Sorry to keep be a meat-headed reference to it, but it's true, right? Like people get up for this.
They're
stuff.
worried about their fantasy football team,
exactly.
getting the lineup in.
And then come week 2, it's like, okay, let's get back to normalcy type of thing. So it's just one of those funky type of weeks.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I mean, I think, to me, I'm looking for the fall to debunk the status quo of the typical seasonality. I think that I'm not just being optimistic salesperson trying to get people in the market. I think there's a legit chance of that happening. I've been doing this 10 years, and I will stand by what I said, more than that actually, but I'll stand by what I've said about the fall being the slowest because of all those things.
Yeah.
But I think we've just got an opportunity right now to where if buyers recognize they could take advantage and possibly create a glimmer maybe of balance in the market.
Yeah.
If they stay engaged, because that'll then just result in more homes being listed too.
That's true.
Buyers that are buying, a
because
lot of them have to sell.
We could prove and say, hey, here's what happened. Here's what is happening right now.
I mean, you got, and I think, it's funny. Like a lot of people will use the logic of spring and summer in terms of weather. I debunk that. Like, okay, for the fall, like you can be closed in your home by the holidays, enjoy it,
right,
and then have all winter to do whatever you're going to do in the interior, and then you're jamming outside, and then you're like your home is what you want it to be by springtime.
Absolutely.
And in the winter, like, okay, if you get under contract in the winter and move in by end of February, yeah, okay, moving day maybe a little, treacherous type of thing, but hopefully you got a garage and all that, and it's easy enough to get through. And then you're again, same thing, like you're back, you're outside, and everything's moved and settled inside by the time the weather breaks.
That was
I
you
don't
just
think there's
detailed.
a bad time to buy.
You
in
just
this market.
detailed how I bought my house. Like
you go.
that's my offer got accepted. In the fall, closed in the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
We moved. It was kind of like nothing was sticking in the ground, but it was like kind of snowy, cold, and it actually it was perfect weather for like it was cold, but like you just
cold.
You're sweating and you're like
right.
moving
Feels good to get
stuff. It
outside.
feels good.
it.
We had the family over. They all helped us move out and move in, and had pizza. It was actually a pretty cool time. So yeah.
Well, there's a lot that's going to be happening this fall. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Overall, wanted to kind of, unfortunately, it's bittersweet on the summer.
Yeah.
Mentioned football for a fourth time, I think. Summer's over. I love summer, but here comes football. Let's go.
Love it.
All right. Luis Pichardo, Jason Mancuso here with the Anthony Butera team at Keller Williams Realty. Check us out at anthonybuterateam.com. And thanks for tuning in to the Rochester Real Estate Show.
Thank you.